Hi everybody, hope you're all doing very good. So today I'll be making a video about Charlemagne. It actually sounds way better with French pronunciation, Charlemagne, but whatever. And we'll be talking about what his contribution in the political, economical, cultural, and educational evolution of Europe was. So our social studies teacher gave us a question to answer, which was the following. Should Charlemagne be called Father of Europe? If yes, explain why. If no, explain why too. So let me tell you some facts about him. So he was also known as Charles the Great and was one of the most important leaders in European history because he united all the small tribes all around Europe and created a huge empire. His contribution to Europe's political, economic, and cultural evolution was enormous and long-lasting. Now, what was his political impact? Well, Charlemagne created a stable and centralized government in a time when Europe was divided into small independent regions, therefore many different tribes. He was coronated as Emperor of the Romans in 800 by Pope Leo. And also, one of his most important decisions was that he divided his empire into small counties, about 300 of them. Now, each county was governed by a count or a lord, chosen for his loyalty and competence to the king. Now, to make sure that all these local rulers actually followed Charlemagne's rules, he actually sent inspectors called missi domicini, which were pairs of a noble and a bishop, who traveled all around the country, all around the empire actually, to check fairness and whether the lords were actually following all the rules, and also to listen to complaints. Now, let me show you some pictures. Right here on the map, the blue area is basically Charlemagne's empire. And on the painting over here at the top, you can see Charlemagne being crowned a Roman emperor by Pope Leo III. Now, what was Charlemagne's economic impact? So he basically improved trade and growth of agriculture a lot. In the Capitulare de Villis, which is Latin, he outlined how royal estates should be managed. He also standardized weights, measures, and coins, and he created the silver denier, which turned trade and commerce around his empire very easy, because until then there were many small tribes with different metric systems and different kinds of money, and it was really hard for peasants to be able to trade with them, because just like today, they would lose a lot of money or a lot of fruits or a lot of their products actually in exchange, because they did not know how to actually exchange their money fairly. And then he also repaired Roman roads and built new routes that helped merchants move their goods easily around the empire. Now here you can see on the first picture, it says usage des nouvelles mesures, which means usage of the new measuring systems. Basically, it shows us how people started using the new measuring system, weights, metric system, and also the coins. And on the second picture, you can see the silver denier created by Charlemagne. Now, last but not least, what was his cultural and educational impact? First of all, he invited scholars from all over Europe to design a central education system where all children, poor or rich, would have access to. For example, he invited Alcuin of York to his court with a specific order to design this school system. It led to the creation of three types of schools: palace schools, cathedral schools, and monastic schools. Then he also ordered monks not to only copy religious books, but also classical works of science, maths, astronomy, philosophy, and many others too. And then He also introduced a new writing style, the Carolinian minuscule, which made reading and writing way easier, and our current Latin alphabet, so basically the English alphabet, is actually based on those letters. Here in the middle picture, you can actually see how these letters look like. So obviously they were not exactly the same as our own today, but they did look very similar. Just take a quick look. Now, just a very quick summary of the whole presentation. So basically, Charlemagne unified Western Europe, and therefore all the tribes became one huge empire. He also divided his empire into about 300 counties, each one of them ruled by a count, a lord, or a noble, who was responsible for actually justice, defense, and taxes. Then he had the Missi Dominici, Messager du Seigneur in French, who were inspectors in pairs, one bishop and one noble, who were sent around the empire to check if the rules were actually followed and to hear complaints. Then we also know about his coronation as emperor in 800. This is very important information. Please remember it. Now, his economic contributions. He created one standard currency, the silver denier, and replaced the different coins of all the other tribes. He also created a weight and measuring system, same for everyone. So basically, that helped with trade. Then he ordered royal estates to grow specific crops, such as apples, pears, herbs, flax. He also ordered them to keep inventories, maintain mills, and manage livestock, therefore animals, efficiently. And he also revived Roman roads and market centers. So basically, he repaired all Roman roads, and reopened Roman markets, and also built new roads, and that increased commerce between northern and southern Europe. Now, last but not least, his cultural and educational contributions. So first, he opened schools. Also, for example, he opened a palace school at Taachen. So basically, he was the one establishing the school systems as we know them today. Then he also created a new alphabet, as I told you, the Carolinian minuscule, easy to read handwriting, and these letters actually inspired our today's alphabet, our Latin alphabet, English one. Yeah. And also, he ordered monks to not only copy religious texts, but also to copy philosophy texts, astronomy texts, math, also science. So basically, all this period is called the Carolinian Renaissance. He improved literacy, revived the interest for classic ancient Greece and Rome, preserved classical knowledge, and encouraged learning for administrators, priests, and even children. I hope you learned something today, and see you very soon. I love you guys. Bye bye.